Okay, that's excellent. So that brings us again to saying welcome to all of you. And first of all, welcome to International Business, the webinar. Let's introduce ourselves. So your hosts of today are live from Rotterdam. I just go by the order in the slide. My name is Esther Terpstra. I'm a lecturer here within the IB, the International Business Program. And next to me is Andra Ordean. Could you please also?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Andra Ordean and I'm a freshly graduate from Rotterdam Business School IB program.
Yes. So this would also be a very good opportunity to introduce Fiona Mulder, who you already might have seen also on one of the screens, but it's our colleague from Student Affairs, and there she is. And welcome also Fiona. Fiona will be helping us in the chat, so if there are any questions, Fiona will manage the chat, and later on also any other questions there are, we also help you with that. So, shall we start?
Of course.
Yes? All right. So, we are first of all, of course, very curious to know, we are in Rotterdam, but where are you at the moment? So, could you please share with us in the chat where you are and in which country you are. So I'm looking forward to hear from you. Amsterdam, Latvia, Morocco, Poland, France, Spain, Rotterdam, Italy, Rotterdam, Malaga, Spain, Maastricht, Hungary, Barendrecht, Suriname, Zeeland, New Zealand, or the province Zeeland. And there is Eindhoven. So we actually have quite a mix of people being here today. So that means our target audience for today is quite wide. And that means we could expect a lot of different questions from you today. Feel free, as my colleague already said, share questions in the chat. So that brings me to my next slide. Today, first of all, IB and the 3 learning lines. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. Then something about IB in 4 years, because the study program is 4 years. Then there's my colleague, who will come back later, who will tell her story as alumnus here in IB. And she will also tell you a little bit more about why you should maybe why you could like international business, because as a teacher, I could have an opinion about that. But I think it's also interesting for students to say more about that. So, which is also something else which might be interesting to share. We are actually here live on location. So we have chosen this area. You see our brand new building. It's getting dark already a little bit in the Netherlands. So it gives you an idea of our new building on location, Kralingse Zoom 91 in Rotterdam. So, as said, something more about IB, but first our promise. That means, what do we promise, but also hope how you will turn out after 4 years IB. So we hope you are a globally focused and interculturally aware business professional. Now, I know Andra, who graduated with us, she is. So hopefully this will also be the case for all of you after graduating here in our school. So, IB and the 3 learning lines, what do I mean with that? So, I mean 3 learning lines: business, professional and academic skills, and a second language. And I'm not talking about the second language as in English, but a second language on top of that. So let me start with business. So international business. So what do you need in order to be well prepared for international business? Marketing and sales, supply chain, logistics, economics, being able to do research, finance and accounting, organization and people, it's like human resource management, and a little bit of business law, international focused. So that's business. So that's a big part of the study program. Another big part of the study program is skills, but not just hard skills, but more like the soft skills. And then we mean critical thinking, how important it is nowadays to be a critical thinker. Being able to collaborate, but also being able to reflect and think about your own personal and professional development. If we look at the slide, you see ethical and social responsibility. So important, also in relation to business ethics, but also if we look into sustainability. Our building is very sustainable. We have different elements that are very important for us, and you will see that when you get here. Intercultural competence. I think one of the most important things if you study international business, trying to understand the culture you come from, but also understanding other people's cultures you work with. Business, English and communication, also an important subject. Most of you can speak English, but it's also important to know what it means if you talk more in terms of business English. And communication, whether that's written or oral communication, including public speaking skills, etc. Innovation and creativity, and management as information as a digital citizen. And that you could think of using Word, Excel, etc. Yeah, so this gives you an idea of the setup of all the subjects within IB. And then there's that second language, and you only have to choose one. So for any international students here in this webinar or checking out this webinar after we finished, you have to choose Dutch as a language. However, you can choose Dutch as a main language, we call it in the elementary level language, or as an elective, which is an extra subject on top of the IB subject. So we offer general subjects, Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, French, German, Spanish, and Dutch for the non-Dutch. So the Russian, Indonesian, and Vietnamese are written in red. That's because we often do not have enough students that choose to do this language, but we do offer it. So depending on the number of students that are interested, we do offer the language. So inform us timely. It's also important to know that we have different levels of language. So you can start on a higher level or you start on a lower level. But that's only the case for the European languages actually. So except for Dutch. And the rest is all starting from scratch. Yeah? If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask questions later on or in the chat. I see my colleague Fiona busy typing, so I think a lot is going on there in the chat. Please finish asking your questions, no problem. So I go to the next slide, and that is, how is a year built up? What we mean with that is, how does that work, especially if you're not from the Netherlands, but even maybe if you are from the Netherlands? In higher education, we work with credits, with European credits. You need 60 credits per year to pass year one, or at least to finish year one. 60 credits in year 2, 60 credits in year 3, 60 credits in year 4, and then you have all your 240 credits, and then you are graduated. So a credit means 28 hours of work. So that means in total you will work 60 credits times 28 hours, which is actually a full-time job. So studying here, in most studies, it's a full-time job. So 5 days, 4 days, 5 days a week. So how's the year build up? So we work in blocks of 7 weeks. One block, 7 weeks of classes. After that, you have a so-called study week. You have an exam week. And we also have resit opportunities. Our exams differ from multiple choice exam, assignments, presentations, very diverse. All right. That was about the year built up, but how are the 4 years built up? And this is one of my most important slides, the next one. So pay attention, and hopefully I can take you along on what I want to say and what you see on the screen. First, have a look what you see here. You see, is there anyone here? No, students are home already, I think. It's after 5 here. So what do you see here? So the columns, I think year 1 is over here for you guys. I'm not sure how this works, but you see year 1, 2, 3, and 4. So year 1, I just explained to you something about the credits. So BUS stands for business, what I just explained about the learning lines. LAN stands for languages, and PAS stands for the professional and academic skills. So there you can see for business subjects, exams, you get 24 credits in total. For PAS, 24 credits as well. And languages, 8 credits. So you can see where, how things are divided. And electives, these are the extra subjects you can choose. So, and then in the end, you see 60 credits. For year 2, similar setup, but business and PAS are combined with 35 credits. And there's the specialization, because we expect you to choose a specialization from year 2 onwards. Show you the specializations in a minute. If you're going to choose commerce, you're actually going to continue studying that language for 3 years, 3 years in total. For the rest, it's just 1.5 years of languages, and that's it. Yep. Then I go to semester 3, or I should say semester 5 in year 3. And that's when you do your internship, also called placement. And what it means, you're going to work in a company for 20 weeks where you're going to practice everything that you've learned so far. 30 credits for 20 weeks. Yep. Then there's semester 6 in year 3, and we call that graduation 1. You continue with your subjects, all the subjects as I mentioned them, and you continue with your specialization. Then there is year 4. And year 4, you have the opportunity to go on an exchange. That means you go abroad to another university in anywhere in the world, and you do your exchange for 30 credits. But you could also do a minor, which is also somewhat of an exchange, but in the Netherlands, in our school or in another school in the Netherlands. Semester 8 is graduation 2, and that is your final thesis, your final assignment. Do know that internship and exchange are somewhat interchangeable. That's why I put it there. And if you do commerce, it's even mandatory to go on exchange first. And you already have to have your proper dose, all your credits, far before you think you are going on exchange. So the rules are a bit stricter there. Ask us more about it if you want. Let's go to the next slide. And then we are already close to our last part for specializations. So organization and change, supply chain, commerce and marketing. Commerce is a lot about trade, and you see a few extra things there that are important to know, the extra language for 3 years. And if you want to know more about that, please inform us about that. Marketing, supply chain, and logistics, of course, and organization and change is about changes that happen in an organization. It's also a lot about the internal management of an organization, and somewhat linked to HRM. So if we come to the next slide, I show you just a map of the world, and you now see where you live yourselves or where you are about at this moment. Questions we often get is going abroad mandatory if you study IB? And the answer is, yes, it is mandatory. The next question is, and what if you are an international student coming to Holland? It's already going abroad, isn't it? And that is indeed the case. So if you come from Brazil or from Barcelona to the Netherlands, then you are already abroad. And then things are a bit different. However, if you are going to choose commerce as your specialization, then this is not the case anymore, and you will need to go abroad anyhow, and that's your choice then. So, where are our current students? We put them all in blue. So the students on internship right now, you see them in Brazil, Australia, a lot of countries in Europe, Canada, etc. So this is just a nice to know thing. But where do you go? Do you go to Tokyo, Japan? Do you want to study Japanese? Just as Andra, who's going to say something about that in a minute. Or are you going to Barcelona in Spain? Or maybe to Finland, to Helsinki for the most times it's your choice where to go, except when you study commerce. We always like to do a reality check as well, because going abroad, studying abroad, internship abroad, everything costs money. So whether you are now in Zeeland or in Maastricht, I saw a few, you also have to think about that. What does that cost if I have to go to Japan or to South Korea, for example? But also for the students coming to the Netherlands, there's also a reality check. Because in any case, if you come to the Netherlands to study, or you go on an exchange or internship later, flight, housing, cost of living, visa, insurance, everything costs money. So always make very good choices and start saving, I would say. So that brings me to the other host of today, and that is Andra Ordean. Welcome.
Hello again, everyone. I will just start to briefly introduce myself. So my name is Andra Ordean. I recently graduated from Rotterdam Business School, the International Business Program, with the specialization of commerce and Japanese language. So to tell you a bit about my experience, for most of the young adults or adults, I think they would say high school was the best experience so far. However, for me, I would say that the university years were the best so far. Not only I could develop myself personally and professionally, but also I met a lot of friends from various countries. Also, our exchange dynamic environment in general in the university. So I did Japanese as a main language and commerce, so I chose to do a bit more of the advanced language program, and here I am graduating. Of course, maybe some of you already wonder what you can do with the degree and maybe what kind of job. For example, I know that I could work in other businesses as well, and not focus on Japanese necessarily. However, I was really keen on going forward with Japanese and being able to work in a quite Japanese environment. So therefore, now I'm working in recruitment for Japanese companies in the Netherlands. So after I graduated, I'm still going to be based for the moment in the Netherlands. And hopefully in the near future, I will go continue my master degree in Japan. Why not? So I do think that the program really offered me the chance to discover what I really like to do and what I would like to focus further in my career. A bit about the extracurricular activities, I can say it's the PR committee that I was part of for the last 4 years. I would say that the PR committee really helped me develop myself and meet even more international students to connect further, but also Dutch students, so get integrated into the culture a bit more. As originally I'm from Romania, not that far away from the Netherlands, but still, I think when moving abroad, even within Europe, you still have a bit of a cultural shock sometimes. So that can be the case for the students coming from outside the Netherlands. But don't worry, the Netherlands is a very welcoming country, and especially Rotterdam. That's a very international city, I would say. So don't worry, most probably you'll feel at home after the first month. That was my case. So I hope it's always the case for the students. Now I would like to move forward with the slide, and actually you will see that the experience I talked about, it's not only from my perspective, but it's also from our students, and you will actually see a lot of post-it sticky notes on the right side or left side of the screen. I'm not sure exactly which one you see right now, but those are the most interesting and what attracted our students to come. And of course, I'm among those students. So as I mentioned, it's a very international and intercultural environment. Also, you will see it in your classroom. You will also have a lot of group works to do. So you will be with people from very different cultural backgrounds, which will help you definitely to adapt for your future career. And why not, if you want to work in a very international environment, you will be prepared. About the university, it's a very practical approach. So I would say that was the main goal for me. Well, when looking for my future degree, so after I graduated from high school, I previously studied Japanese in high school as well. So I knew I want to continue with the language, but I wanted to add something else as well. And I really enjoyed economics and entrepreneurship in high school. So I said, I do think business is the best study for me. Therefore, I found Rotterdam Business School. And I think the fact that it's an applied science university with a more practical approach, it really determined me to make the decision to come here. So I myself don't really like the study style of the learning style of learning theories from a book. That never really worked for me. I didn't really enjoy it. So when I found out that the practical approach that Rotterdam Business School follows, I said, well, that might be the best decision for me. So what you can expect from practical approach, working with real life companies, with real life projects. And I think my favorite project, it's the last group project that I did in my 4th year in graduation 1, as Esther mentioned earlier. And that you can see in the slides, in the previous slides. So basically me and my group worked as consultants for a fresh vegetables and fruits company in the Netherlands, De Groot. So basically we had to build a customer profile for the company in Japan. So what they can expect from the customer base in Japan, how they should act, how they should satisfy the needs of the Japanese consumers better. So we had a lot of meetings with the company. We were asking for their feedback, and yeah, basically we were their consultants, which I personally really enjoyed. I think our students really love the new building as well. I do too. So you can also see it in the background. It's getting darker. It's actually quite dark already outside. So yeah, you can't really see a lot, but definitely the lights show you a bit behind me. The variety of languages that Esther also just mentioned previously. The schedule. So I would say that the schedule is made in a really nice way that you also get time to study yourself, but also enjoy your student life, which I think is very important to just meet your classmates, other international students, other Dutch students. So it's a really nice dynamic environment. And nonetheless, of course, the city of Rotterdam, which is a very dynamic harbor city, I would say that I feel at home at RBS. I felt as at home, and also in Rotterdam as a city. As I mentioned, it's the home of a lot of nationalities and cultures. So I do really enjoy living here as well, even after graduating. And of course, the internship abroad and exchange possibilities that the university offers. So I hope you got a bit inspired by my story, and that maybe I persuaded you to already apply to our study. I would like to give the floor back to Esther, and if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, we both stay here now. I think we can both stay here
Of course.
now. Let's see. We have a few more slides to share. I also would like to give you a moment at home to maybe write down a few things. Think about everything that we have said. And then we have a few more slides, and I saw some questions about what level of economics do we get, questions about if I want to be an entrepreneur, what specialization could I choose? So my colleague Fiona Mulder is answering these questions. So that's really great. So what else is good to share from all the post-its we gathered already and were explained? So it's good to know that if you start IB, whether you are in the Netherlands now and you are a Dutch student or an international student, we have a so-called international classroom that was also mentioned in the post-its. So 40% of our student population is international, but maybe even more students have an international background. So you might be Dutch, but your family comes from a different country, for example. So in that case, maybe even 80% of our student population might be international. So, but now with international, we refer to students who actually come from Romania, for example, and come and study here in the Netherlands. But also our faculty staff is rather international. So our teachers, our lecturers come from all over the world. Or, looking at myself, have lived abroad. I lived in London, I lived in Paris, and I traveled around the world. I've seen many, many countries. So all of us have somewhat of that international experience that we also want to give to you, and that hopefully you are happily going to receive and do something about and enjoy a lot. It's also good to know that we organize events. One of the most important events is the event Get Connected, where we invite companies to our university and our students, where they can actually meet each other, because not everyone has a huge network where you can just go and find an internship, or so we help you with that.
And I think what's nice about you can actually see the event on our Instagram page next week on the 15th
Great.
of November. So you can catch a glimpse of how the event looks like and see what internships our students might find.
Yeah, and so many companies there. And it's also good to know we also have a website or site, it's called In Touch, where you will actually later on
get in touch,
with companies, and you will see where other interns did their internships. But it's up to you to find the internship yourself. We only advise. One extra thing I'd like to add before I forget, you can't just go on exchange to any university. It has to be a university that we have a partnership agreement with, because we don't want you to go just anywhere. We just want to check if they have a somewhat of the same curriculum. So we do the checking for you, or we already did. But the electives is also good to know. So if you're not sure whether you want to do Korean, French, or Japanese, you could say, okay, for the study program, I'm going to do maybe French. But for an elective, I'm just going to do one block of Japanese. like, okay, that's more than enough. 1 block, 2 study credits. So then you can balance that a little bit. It's also good to mention that if there are any students who have an international baccalaureate diploma, or in Holland, a so-called VWO, you can do the fast track program. Because if you go to the University of Science, a bachelor program is 3 years. So we offer that opportunity for VWO pupils and international baccalaureate students. The regular program is, of course, 4 years. The reason why it's 4 years is that we offer that practical approach with the exchange, with the internship, and all the possibilities you have. So it's actually 2 years really at school, at the university.
Yes.
Then you can go abroad, fly away. But some of you already come to Holland with a new start, of course. So one of our last slides is that you should know that not everyone manages to be successful in year 1, because sometimes people make wrong choices. They decide, oh no, this is not it for me. I want to study in my own language, or I want to do something totally different. But about 73% of the students continues to year 2. Some directly, some need a bit extra time to continue to year 2. It's also good to know, if we look at the career path, 91 of the graduates find a job at desired level in 1.5 years. But these are just numbers, of course. And it's also good to know, Andra already said something about maybe continuing a master in Japan. 26% of students continue in a master program. And it doesn't have to be in Japan, of course, but anywhere.
The Netherlands as well.
So if you're not sure, you feel like, hey, I'm still very young, or I just want to improve my skills and knowledge even more, then you continue for a master program, of course.
Be a student for a bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit. But you're actually a student forever, because we all want to continue learning.
Indeed.
And get to know ourselves better, etc. So it's time for some questions. But first of all, I think we want to thank you for your attention.
Yes. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah. And maybe could you give us an idea? Was this helpful? You can post it in the chat. Did you learn more? Was it helpful? Or do you still have some questions? So you can put them in the chat. Scroll down a little bit to check the chat. What does that mean, a W? I see 2 W's. We asked, was it helpful, this presentation? Thank you for the information. You're welcome. Thank you for the presentation.
Well, I assume it was a quite insightful presentation. So thank you for your feedback.
Great, that's good to hear. I can say,
how does normal work?
Yeah, I would like to say something about that. Yeah. Normally a normal week would be 5 days a week with the weekend where you don't have to go to school. This year, I'm not sure how that will be next year. I have to be very honest about that. We do our utmost best to make sure each student also gets an extra day off per week during the week. So that means the lessons are divided over 4 days in a week, depending on the schedule, sometimes even 3. But I'm going to be, I'm not going to promise you anything, because maybe we change a few things in the schedule. But often you will have a few PAS subjects in the week, a few business subjects in the week, and twice a week you study your language. And then additionally, your elective. So it's not that you are at school from 9 till 5, but the schedules differ. So it could be that you start at 9 o'clock until maybe 2, but it could also be that you schedule that you only start at 11 or 12 until 5. So we expect a lot of self-management here. Read books, do your homework, study. So we're not holding your hand all the time. but we just expect you to come to class and then do your homework and work on project with classmates.
Yes, but I think our students do really like being in the new building. We do have a lot of project rooms as well. We are actually now in a project room where you can work with your group, because I mentioned you're going to have quite many group projects, also individual assignments, but also group projects. So of course you can use all the space in the building.
And all these project rooms have a nice facilities, screens for you to use. So that's all rather advanced.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think our students, even if they have maybe a bit of a longer break during classes, they do prefer to stay here. Also, I think you can see some of our facilities on the website, if I'm not mistaken, or on our Instagram page. So we do have some nice videos, reels made there.
Yeah.
So make sure to check that out and get the feeling of already being a student here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, absolutely. I see more questions also, what kind of project. So it might be interesting to say, like, one of the projects in year one is that you're going to analyze the internal and the external environment of a company and a product. So if your company would be Nike and you would be looking into Nike Air shoes, then you're going to investigate certain things for that specific brand, for that specific company, but not probably, but also in a specific country. So that could be Japan or Argentina or Italy, Croatia, Poland.
Yeah.
So these are the opportunities in the projects, and you work with students in that project, and you're going to look into that using all the things you learned during the business and the past courses. I see a lot of questions. I'm not sure if my colleagues answered them.
I think
if you graduate from a high school that was in English, then you don't need your IELTS certificate. There are a few other exceptions. So then it's best to also go to COIA, Center of International Affairs for admissions. For the Dutch students with a Dutch diploma, they already have Dutch in their high school. So for them, it would also not be necessary to do an IELTS or TOEFL test. My colleague Fiona Mulder, I think there were a few more questions. Are there questions that were not answered yet and you think we should cover now?
The last question from Abigail, like the cost of living, is there an estimation?
To be very honest, life in the Netherlands in terms of costs for renting a room are it's not cheap. Nowadays, rooms, you should be lucky with 500 euros per month, but it can also be 6 or 7 euros per month.
yes.
That's why it's very important, if you are interested in a student room in our student dorm. We have 2 dorms. I think it opens, but you can ask that in the next session on Thursday that COIA offers. I think somewhere in March, April, you are able to book a room there. Yeah, but we only have limited rooms and we have more students than rooms, so there is some responsibility for you as well. Yeah.
I think there was also a question about books.
Books.
If you can use them the whole 4 years, you're going to be given a list of the books in the beginning of your first year that you're going to use for that year. Do you get the list of the full list with the books for year 2 as well? Or
no, only year 1. Yeah, only year 1. Yeah.
But sometimes the book that you use in year 1 might also be used in the second year. So that depends also every year, because I think what I really like about the school is that we do update the curriculum almost every year to have the most recent updates from the real life business. So that's why it might be that a book that it's used by some students might have a new version next year, or it might be used in 2 years, or it might be used only for first year. So that really depends, and you can definitely check the list on the website when you receive your student account details.
And it might also be good to add that not for all subjects you need books. For example,
Yes.
for business, we have one big book, very big book. It's I think it's 70 or 80 euros in year one. It looks like an enormous investment, but that's actually introduction to business, and it's very important. But it covers all the subjects in one book. And later on, for example, for PAS, professional and academic skills subjects, we don't use that many books. I know we have the book for intercultural competence, and we have COVID, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But the rest, we work with readers as well. So then you don't have to invest that much money in books.
Maybe it's good to also mention that sometimes they can find the books in our library.
Good point. We have a brand new library, and you can also order PDF versions sometimes
Yes.
via the library. And of course, you have your books also for the languages, and they might also differ a little bit. Do we have class or tests in the weekend? No, you have no class or tests in the weekend. You have, of course, homework in the weekend, depending whether you manage to do that during the week, yes or no.
Question about the open day.
Open day, what is the question?
When is the open day for this school, and will there be a presentation of IB there?
Yes, we had an open day 2 weeks ago on Saturday, and the next open day is in December, and it's not a day, but it's an evening. It starts at 4 until 7, and it's on a
On the 14th
Thursday,
of December.
on the 14th of December. Thank you, Andra. You can register for the open day, but you can also just come to our school, Kralingse Zoom 91, and you're more than welcome. And you will see a similar presentation as this one. The only thing will be we also have some workshops on trying out the languages, so you can make a good decision about which language you want to do. And we have about 20 students that are studying in year 1, 2, 3 now, answering all your questions as well.
Are the tests like assessment, portfolio, and presentation? Sometimes might be. We do have different types of assignments, of assessment. So you can expect presentation from time to time. You can expect portfolios. I would say that portfolio is mostly used for individual assignments.
Yeah.
But it's a combination, as mentioned in the beginning.
Yes. So, but also reports, that you work on a business plan, and you write that in the report, and I'll upload that in our system called Brightspace. But also multiple choice exams, as I said, but also open questions exams. So we have actual in-class exams where you sit in a classroom and where we actually check you how you're doing, and you have only 2 hours to finish. And we have assignments that you can do at home, and you can manage your own time.
And group assignments.
And we also have some group assignments, absolutely. And a few things will change next year. So we will have less group assignments that are being assessed as a group, but more group assignments for the learning and for the formative elements. You can always, of course, my colleague Fiona already says it, of course, you're free to visit our school and our building. The only thing is, without appointment, we're not always sure if we're there to show you around.
However, if you send us an email, if you contact us, we can organize something for you, and we can ask one of our students to take you on a trial day. I would say you can join 1 or 2 classes with one of our students, and also you get the tour of the building. So we are waiting for you.
Absolutely. We also have an official trial study day on Monday,
the 27th, is it?
November, from 9:30, where we have a lovely program where we first show you around in the building. You will meet other future possible students who did not register yet, probably. We will do a business case. We will do an intercultural competency quiz, and we will have a workshop on the languages. So I think it's quite nice.
Is it okay if I want to study French, but in my third, fourth year I
I'm
want?
already
Oh,
answering
okay.
Yeah.
So then we just ask Andra to speak some Japanese because they're curious to
Would
hear
you
how
like?
you're doing. I don't
Okay.
know. Shall we? What questions should we ask her? No, could you introduce yourself in
Of
Japanese?
course, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
こんばんは。はじめまして。アンドラ・オーデンと申します。今年の夏休みの後で卒業しました。よろしくお願いいたします。I hope that answered the question.
Joel Montero, Semedo, what did you think of that? Whoa.
Thank you.
That's not too bad, right? It might be nice to see what everyone is considering right now if it comes to choosing a language. So could you say what pops up in your mind as the language you would say you want to do? So is that Japanese? Is that Korean? Is that Mandarin? Is that French, German, or Spanish? Dutch for non-Dutch? Russian, Vietnamese, or Indonesian? There we go.
Are there still any open days in January and February?
10 February, right?
If not
Yes.
February, definitely March. So we are
10
going
February,
to have.
absolutely, open day in March as well, yeah.
Okay, Russian or Spanish, Japanese, Mandarin, or Korean?
But if you have to choose Dutch.
So Natalia, I assume that you are not Dutch, right? You don't speak Dutch yet.
So if you have to choose Dutch, because I'm not Dutch, my semester has to be in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So the minor then, or
Please understand that you can always go abroad. Also, if you are an international student, we sometimes get that question like, does that mean I'm not allowed to go abroad? You are allowed to go abroad for your exchange, for your internship, even for your graduation assignment. And there's just the mandatory part and the non-mandatory part that I wanted to emphasize. I also should not forget to mention that we do have very important thresholds. So you need to get certain credits in year one, hopefully 60, in order to go to year two. So it's not that if you only have 5 or 10 credits in year one that we say, oh, you can go to year two. No. It doesn't work like that. So that's an important threshold. But if you also go from year 2 to year 3, we also have thresholds because we just don't want to send you away on exchange or an internship with not having enough credits in year 1 and 2. So we're rather strict about that, but it's all for the better. Was there another question we might have missed? At this point, you need to have 50 for year 1. No, you need to have 60 for year 1. That's always the serious answer that I give. But yes, indeed, we are sometimes flexible that we say, okay, with 50 credits, you could also go to year 2, and then you still finish the other 10 credits when you are already in year 2, which makes it 70 in year 2. Not easy.
So I would advise try to take them all in year 1 because it would be more manageable to take them in year 1 than in year 2 because you choose your specialization in year 2. So keep that in mind, which means a bit more workload in year 1. So please keep that in mind. Should be all right, and you should be able to take all the credits in year 1. So yes, don't worry.
We have a system in the Netherlands, but also for students from the Netherlands. We have a system at this university, at most universities in the Netherlands. You do a first attempt for an exam, but we also give you a second opportunity in the block, the block after. So if you fail the first opportunity, we give you a second opportunity. So be aware of that. Fiona Mulder, my colleague, already gave a very clear answer about Dutch students mandatory go abroad, but if you and also about choosing commerce and what the consequences are. Thanks for elaborating on that a little bit more, Fiona. Is there still a question of someone that was not answered? Because I can see Fiona is doing a very good job here.
No, I answered them all, I think. Or maybe
Yeah.
I think I haven't skipped.
So we
I don't
have
think
10
so
more
either.
minutes and then we're not live anymore. That's in the United Arab Emirates, right?
Yes.
Do we have a partner university there? I'm not sure. We
But
have an
it
Excel
might
sheet.
follow if it's not. I do think it. If you look at the exchange list that we have right now, it might not be complete because there might be some partnerships underway, or maybe until the year that you have to go abroad, it might be there. So I'm not sure if it is at the moment, but it might follow.
No, can I say something about it?
Yes.
Yeah, the list of the partner universities is on our intranet. So you can only access our intranet once you are registered as a student. So that's important. Second of all, the list on our intranet is the list as the situation is right now. So you're still not studying in our school, so you will only go on exchange in 3 years from now. So the list as it is right now might differ from the list as it is when you enter year 3. But we do have a list available that could inspire you. Yeah. We have a partner university in Norway, but I don't know which one and I don't know in which city.
I'm trying to check this, but
as said, that list is on our intranet, and our intranet is only accessible for people who are already registered as a student. So if you have a specific question about that and you really want to know that before you register in our school, it might be wise to send an email, maybe to Koya, Center of International Affairs. Would not be the case for Dutch students. So what would be a good email to send it to?
I think I do think Koya will anyway do redirect them to someone else. But I do think as long as it's a question about exchange, for example, Koya might be entitled to answer that.
Yeah. There was a student about, is it possible to get a scholarship? There are scholarships only for Europe nowadays. There were scholarships also for outside of Europe. We have...
I think we have to clarify, are you talking about a scholarship for Rotterdam Business School or for our partner universities? Because if we talk about partner universities, we do have them in European Union.
Yeah.
So Erasmus Plus,
Erasmus,
I think it's called.
Yeah.
And there might be some scholarships from our partner universities, but that will be, you will see it when you're going to apply to that university. And definitely we do have all the details with the partner universities who might offer a scholarship. However, keep in mind that is not the case for all the partner universities outside the European Union.
Yeah, and to make it the answer even more complete or more complex, I don't know. We don't have any scholarships ourselves to offer you if you are an international student coming to the Netherlands. We don't have that. I'm so sorry. For people who want to go to the United States on an exchange, do know that they're very keen on checking your grades before you're being accepted. So GPA, a grade point average of 8 or higher is very much appreciated. So we have, let's say, 5 more minutes. How many people are still here? I think 22. I really, really like all your questions.
We do have partners in Korea, and they will follow. More will follow now that we introduced Korean since 1-2 years ago as a main language. More partners will follow in Korea, but we do have them even right now.
Yes. So thanks also for sharing the language interests. It's very important because, you only have a few weeks in the start of a school year, and maybe not even anymore next year. Maybe a few things might change, but we really want you to think about your choice before you enter our school. I would also like to learn Mandarin, but I don't think that will happen for me. So make sure, what do you want and what do you think are you capable of? And Andra did very well with learning Japanese, but for some students,
It is a
too
struggle.
hard,
It,
yeah.
it was a struggle for me as well,
Okay.
but it's also a lot of self-study. So the moment you decide to learn an Asian language, please be aware that it's going to take longer than learning a European language, because it's the difference in alphabets. Japanese has 3 alphabets, for example. So it takes a lot of time to master the alphabets, and even after maybe 8 years, you're not going to be able to know the whole 3rd alphabet in Japanese. I would say just come to one of our open days or trial days and then see the workshops that we do for the languages, and then see if it really attracts you. Because at some point for Asian languages, you also have to be passionate about culture to understand why you use that sentence in a specific setup. Also with French, also with German, because it might be different. Maybe if you're from another country, also from the Netherlands, it might be different, right? Like the intercultural competence that we are also teaching will inform you, like you should use the formal language with these specific people and so on. So it's always a challenge, but if you're up to it, I think it's really worth it in the end.
Yes, very good. All right. So we always have this final
nice,
slide. Let's change the face of business. So are you willing to change the face of business together with us? That's the question. So depending on where you are in the world, we want to wish you a very good rest of the day, or we want to wish you a very good evening. Depending where you are in the world, you're going to have dinner now. Like in Holland, we eat at 6, 7, but maybe you're in Spain and you only have your meal at 9 or 10. But in general, have a very good day. Yes.
Yeah. Wanted before I say my thank you, so wanted to answer the last question, but also Fiona put the answer in the chat. You are going to have enough classes as well, but of course that depends the language you want to the level of the language you want to achieve. Of course, if you want to become very fluent and also master the business dialect, for example, for an Asian language, you do have to do a lot of self-study. And self-study, I mean learning the alphabets also on your own time, because it's of course a bit more intensive, because you also need to learn the basics, but also the alphabet. So you do need a lot of practice at home as well to not forget it. Hopefully there is a complete answer. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you for having me here today. And let's change the face of business. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice evening, day, afternoon.